Welcome to the Digital Marketing Domination, the go-to podcast for digital marketers. Each week we dive into proven digital marketing tactics, cutting-edge tools, and real-world case studies that help you dominate your market. This is your playbook for digital success.
Welcome to another episode of Digital Marketing Domination. Today's guest is Andy Crestodina, co-founder, CMO of Orbit Media, and a leading voice in content strategy, SEO, and AI. He's been publishing and teaching in the digital marketing space for nearly 2 decades, and his insights on AI-powered content creation and strategy are some of the most actionable in the industry. Andy, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Jamil. I'm glad to be here.
So tell the listeners, Andy, a little bit about your background and the history of how you got into marketing.
Well, I wanted to do web design. This is like the late 90s, but I had no resume or no skills and realized weirdly that it's easier to start a business than it is to get a job, because a company hiring you for a project is taking a small risk. An employer hiring you for a full-time spot is taking a bigger leap. But I also had an opportunity because my friend and roommate from high school and a friend from college was already doing web development since like the mid 90s. So joined him. It was just 2 of us. This is like 2001, and knew right away I got to figure out search to, find clients for myself and help our clients get better results. I had to figure out analytics. This is going back prior to Google Analytics. There were precursor tools I could tell you about. It's internet history. So we never had a budget for advertising. We were one of those tiny, scrappy companies. So also when content marketing got big, just dove in with both feet. Today, fast forward, there's 53 of us. We are a $9 million annual revenue web design and development company. We build high-performing B2B lead gen websites for mid-market brands in manufacturing and finance and healthcare and higher ed. And so, yeah, I'm deeply immersed. I've done, 24 years of SEO and analytics and 2.4 years of AI.
So obviously when you're building websites for clients, that's no easy task because clients are very opinionated in terms of how websites are built and what they start with in terms of, I want it to look like this. Here's my 5 competitors that I like and dislike about this. Kind of what's the process that you go through to build a website and not only have the client be happy, but also to be a strong website in Google's eyes?
Well, you mentioned 2 of the many requirements. It has to be on brand and the client's got to love it. It's got to rank high in search engines, but you're actually balancing many more success factors. It has to turn visitors into leads. That's about conversion optimization and psychology. It has to be easy and fast and free to update. That's the CMS. It has to connect to other tools. Every site integrates with something. Results have to be easy to measure, Google Analytics and sometimes other tools. It has to comply with privacy laws. It has to comply with accessibility laws. It has to load fast. It has to display properly on every screen size. I think there's at least 10 critical factors in success of a website. So of course, every client has a point of view and it has to work for them. Even more important, it has to work for their visitors. So the trick is just upfront research and planning. We do kind of big projects. So there's a big audit of the current site. You got to preserve all those current rankings, expand on that by targeting new phrases and making new pages. And never forget that the reason people do and don't take action on websites is a function of the extent to which that page they landed on, not necessarily the homepage if it's a search optimized site, met their information needs, addressed their critical concerns, supplied supportive evidence to back up its claims, and clear, specific, compelling calls to action that trigger cognitive biases whenever possible. Yes, there's opinion, but in the end, the client's going to hold us accountable based on, did it attract qualified visitors? Yes or no? Did it convert those visitors into leads? Yes or no? And were we quick to respond when they needed help, which is why people do and don't love their web companies in the end.
So I know for a while, a lot of new websites were being built on WordPress. What would you say is, for the websites you build, the most common platform you're using?
WordPress is still dominant. It is a market leader, almost as powerful as like Google is in search. To my knowledge, there is no SEO benefit for over one CMS or another. I know that there's advantages to a tool like HubSpot, which is kind of pre-connected to all of the HubSpot tools, including the CRM. A lot of lower cost providers like to do things quickly in tools like Wix or Squarespace. Wix has moved up in the market. There's tons of different CMSs. We are probably 90% WordPress websites because that's where the market is. We started it before WordPress existed. So we had a proprietary CMS. We used to build tons of sites in Drupal. It's not really up to us to tell the client what software to use. In the end, success or failure is, does it connect to everything and is it easy to update?
What's your opinion on tools like Elementor?
The preferences for those those frameworks is similar to the preference for a CMS. So people don't just like WordPress, they like WordPress plus Divi or WordPress plus Elementor. Elementor is great. It's super flexible. The main differences with these tools is just the UX of the back end. That's it. So if you're considering changing, test drive it. But mostly people choose the incumbent because their team and their own skills align with that. Websites are changing a lot of things: messaging, branding, design, search rankings. There's sometimes content strategy. Why add one more thing? People, just go with the flavor you like. It's like Coke, Pepsi, I don't care. It's your visitors don't care. Google doesn't care. Do what you like.
So when you're building out a website, obviously you're thinking about SEO in mind. For the listeners, what would be some really good things that they should be thinking about before you start building a website, and then as you're building a website to improve your SEO?
Here's a way to think about search that I think a lot of people miss. Google does not rank websites, and Google has never ranked a website. Google only ranks web pages. So every page is a competitor, and every key phrase is a competition. So if you don't rank for something and wonder why, ask yourself first, do you have a competitor in that competition? So then you quickly conclude like you need a well-built site has many pages targeting many phrases. Service plus industry, service plus geography. And you just build out there's no limit to the number of pages you can put on a site. So keep building more pages, make them unique, make them deep, make them detailed, fill them with supportive evidence and answer questions, handle objections, like I said. Then people often ask, well, that sounds great, Andy. Let's make 40 pages, but my navigation's going to be a mess. I did not say anything about the navigation. These are off nav pages. You can make an unlimited number of them. Most websites have dozens or hundreds or thousands of pages that aren't in the primary navigation or in the mega menus. That I think people miss. They think the home page is the entry point for everybody. It's not. They think that SEO and UX are somehow interrelated. Actually, they're not. And they don't realize that you have no chance of ranking for a key phrase unless you've got a comprehensive, detailed, deep page with lots of information focused on that topic and keyword.
You're listening to Digital Marketing Domination. We'll be right back after a word from our sponsors. For more than 30 years, J&L has been driving automotive dealerships to success. Our roots run deep in the automotive industry, giving us an unmatched competitive edge. With over 1,000 satisfied clients harnessing our industry-leading technology, we are your go-to experts in direct and digital marketing. Partner with J&L and drive your dealership forward. J&L Marketing, where experience meets innovation.
For content strategy, give the listeners, what are some tips and tricks that you have to be able to build out a better content strategy?
Yep. So now we're talking about that one set of pages, that one directory on the website, the blog or the resources or the guides, or call it whatever you like. The purpose of that is to give people a reason to visit twice, give them something to subscribe to, give them a reason to follow you, give yourselves content that the sales team can use to support messages and warm up cold leads and fill your email nurture sequences for sent proposals and such. Content can work hard at the bottom of the funnel and support sales directly. So even if there was no such thing as Google, I'd have a rich body of work. My content strategy wouldn't be much different. Content has to be detailed. It has to be visual. It should be collaborative. You should incorporate influencers and subject matter experts in your content. It should be in multiple formats. It can't just be an endless stream of blog posts and text. You should have videos, podcasts, do stuff like we're doing now, Jamil. It shouldn't just be on your website. Your content strategy should involve collaboration with associations and trade publications. You should publish directly onto LinkedIn. So content strategies are actually broader than a lot of people think. And you could put these on a big, spreadsheet or a matrix in your mind. Topics, formats, locations, collaborators, promotion channels. It's not as simple as people think. When done strategically, though, you can grow a huge following. You can get links from massive media websites, but you can't do any of that without content.
So one of the things that people always ask me is, they invest a lot with YouTube and building out their YouTube channel. How do you take the videos on YouTube and it help your website in terms of SEO?
Well, YouTube is a fantastic place to host and stream content, but I would never use it for those sales pages. Our embedded YouTube videos are strictly on the blog. If you're making a page that's designed to convert the visitor into a lead, can you spring them the $20 for a paid player so they're not going to see suggested videos? I mean, I've got client sites. I can watch cat videos on their homepage. Like, why did you do that? YouTube for content marketing is magical. So I think of it as an alternate version of any of your best content. Record yourself doing it, adapt a presentation you gave, make videos that are embedded into the article high on the page. That accelerates the growth of your YouTube channel because it cranks up the views and people click through and they subscribe to get more on YouTube. For content marketing, if you publish video content, YouTube is really like a can't miss. You're going to do it. You should do it. It makes perfect sense. It's super interesting. You get different metrics. You can post it everywhere. You have different viewers, right? It grows its own list of subscribers. I love YouTube and recorded 2 videos last week.
So, the big hot topic right now, especially when it comes to content creation, is AI. And I know at J&L, my marketing agency, we use AI for a lot of different things. Talk to us a little bit about how you would recommend to listeners utilizing AI for some content creation.
Before you use AI for content and before you create any content at all, I recommend confirming that all of your key conversion pages, the money pages, the sales pages, the home page, the products, that those pages are polished to perfection because a visitor to those pages is literally 10 times more likely to convert. Confirm for yourself in Google Analytics. It's called the key conversion rate, the key event rate. Are those pages polished? AI can help. The trick, though, is to first build a persona. Build a synthetic member of your target audience. It's like a AI-powered persona. Make it detailed, make sure it knows all about the job title and where they are and what their problems are. And just tell it everything that you have, upload interviews or whatever, give it everything. And then once it makes for you a persona, I take that out of AI, make it a PDF, and then drag it back into AI with a full page screenshot of my key page and a detailed conversion prompt and ask what's missing from this page. My last article was 5 conversion prompts. I'm happy to share. Maybe we can link to it. But one of them is, it's basically AI-powered, persona-driven gap analysis on your key pages. And it might find something that's super important to the visitor. I was looking at a site, they're trying to increase applications for an MBA program. The page failed to mention if you have to quit your job. Why would anyone convert on that page? So every missed question, every unaddressed objection will hurt your conversion rates. So before you use AI to write articles or do content marketing or content strategy, I would focus first on gap analysis for conversion optimization. You'll make more money faster. A synthetic member of your target audience is just a fascinating marketing tool. It's inexhaustible. You can talk to it all day.
So I use AI for a lot of different applications in terms of, for certain applications, I prefer Grok. For other applications, OpenAI. And then obviously Gemini's made leaps and bounds over the last 6 months. In your marketing world, what AI tools do you use and where do you feel like the best application is?
Well, because I'm doing content, I'm teaching content marketing and teaching digital marketing through my content. I've been sticking just with vanilla. I'm using ChatGPT. It's excellent for many use cases. I also, on stages and presentations and trainings, I have to explain, basically, you could use every one of these methods in every one of these tools. Everything that I do is perfectly transferable. I make a lot of, or not a lot, but I've made maybe 10 or so very powerful custom GPTs that do really interesting things, generate personas, identify gaps on pages, do competitive analysis, audit articles. Those custom GPTs are actually perfectly transferable into a Gemini Gem or a Claude project because I build them in a way where the instructions are separate in the Google Doc. So it's really just copying and pasting. These automations are actually super portable. Once my team realized, hey, maybe we should use Gemini, go ahead, use Gemini. But your automation, Andy, yeah, your automation's over there. You just move it over here, put it wherever you like.
Yeah, it definitely played against them. I always have people ask me, they say, I don't know where to start with AI. And I said, ask AI. A lot of the prompt engineering can come from just asking OpenAI, hey, this is what I'm wanting to accomplish. What would be the prompts that I would do? And then you can kind of just work on it. And then sooner or later, you have a great prompt, you have a great thread where you go back to that and use it again and again.
That's right. I used to, we mentioned YouTube. I used to write my YouTube descriptions by hand. it never felt like high value work because most people don't read YouTube descriptions. So I wrote a prompt to write for me to help me write YouTube descriptions based on a transcript. Then I realized, and this is a big unlock for anybody. If you haven't done this yet, this is your next step. Ask AI, don't write prompts. Ask AI to write you the prompt. Use your microphone, talk to it for a few minutes. Hey, I'm a content strategist. I do YouTube videos. I'd love for them to rank in YouTube. I need a detailed description for each of these videos. I've got transcripts I can give you. Create a prompt for me that I can use as a reusable prompt and share with my team and store and improve and test and confirm it works. I want to use it forever after. Write for me a prompt that generates YouTube descriptions that have a link and 2 hashtags and an opening paragraph and a place for the timestamps, and give it all of your goals, give it all of your requirements, and give it all of your best understanding of best practices, and ask it to write the prompt, then test it. You're not doing it properly if you don't test these prompts. Prompts are like software. You got to try them and see if they work. I always have like 2 AIs side by side. But stop writing prompts. Have AI help you write prompts. Take all your old prompts. They're just drafts. Have AI improve those prompts. Improve this prompt for clarity and structure. You'll get far better outputs you can compare for yourself.
Agreed. I've had a ton of success with that. And then I also, something you brought up, I think one of the tools that people underutilize is live open AI, going live with it and talking to the AI. I do it in my car all the time, can ask questions. If I'm going into a meeting, I want to bounce 3 or 4 ideas off of AI. It's one of the easiest way to get that quick answer.
Yeah. If you're using audio too, there's a tool called Studio LM or LM Studio. It's a Google product. I think it's lmstudio.google.com. You can share your screen and talk to it. Be like, I'm in Google Analytics. I don't know where to click. I'm trying to make a custom dimension. And am I doing this right? And it'll start talking back to you. Hey, I see your screen. You need to click over here. It's amazing.
That's awesome, especially for like junior analyst or for training and onboarding employees.
Anybody that's not skilled in something. I mean, I suck at a lot of things. It can help me.
One of the things that we always kind of procrastinated is creating process docs for new employees. And AI's helped us so much with that, is being able to take outdated process docs saying, hey, here's everything that's kind of updated, creating a better outline for new hires to onboard with it.
Yeah. That LM Studio thing can do that too. It can watch you do a process. Just go do your job for 10 minutes while it's watching you, and then have it output SOPs or standard operating procedures or, detailed processes for that.
You're listening to Digital Marketing Domination. We'll be right back after a word from our sponsors. Are you tired of generic marketing strategies that don't deliver results? At J&L Marketing, we're not your average agency. Our unique approach and deep data insights set us apart. With a 92% client retention rate and a focus on personalized campaign management, we're here to provide your business with the advantage it deserves. Visit jnlmarketing.com to learn more about our industry-leading digital marketing services.
Absolutely love it. You brought up Google Analytics. Obviously, the GA4 transition was a big one a few years ago. Where are you seeing right now with GA4 and where Google Analytics is going? Where do you feel like a lot of companies are missing the boat?
Well, everyone needs to remember first that Google Analytics underreports traffic. According to my research, you can do it for yourself. Just install a cookieless tool like Plausible, and then compare the data to Google Analytics. You'll see the extent to which it's underreporting your traffic. Probably it's about 20 to 30% if you're in the US, depending on cookie consent settings. So every number in analytics is wrong. That's perfectly fine. The key to use it is to just use it for clues and find the directions of things. And am I on the right track? Another one is a lot of people are reporting drops in search traffic right now. I just wrote a piece about this. People are freaking out because their search traffic is down, but they haven't really used analytics to separate the different types of search traffic. We mentioned the blog and content marketing and conversion optimization on your service and sales pages. If you make a comparison, it's at the top of every report, that shows people who landed on the blog as one comparison and people who did not land on the blog as another comparison, and then look at organic traffic changes over time, you will calm down, because mostly the drop in click-through rates from Google to websites, which will continue forever, is impacting information intent queries going to blog posts. traffic to sales pages, those visitors actually have visit website intent. They're trying to get to a website. They're making a big decision. That traffic is much, much less impacted. So before people start losing their minds over top line traffic drops, you need to drill down and look at what kind of traffic to which type of page. It's a calming moment, I think, for a lot of marketers.
So that brings up a good point. When you're talking about content, how are you using GA4 to track that content?
Oh, there's amazing ways, and AI actually helps me. It's a little bit fancy, but I run a method that shows me the conversion rate from visitor to subscriber from each of my articles. And I can tell you, most marketers, I can tell you exactly which of my articles converts visitors into subscribers at what rate. That is gold, because now you know, like, these are the things that build the most trust, that inspire visitors, that get them to go all the way from the mouse to their keyboard and type in their email address. To do that, it's a calculated metric. You need to export from Google Analytics the traffic to each article, and then export from Google Analytics the rate at the number of times each of those articles has referred visitors when it's the page refer to your email sign up thank you page. One's the numerator, one's the denominator. You can calculate that. I just give them both to AI and have AI do that math for me. That's a good method. I also use Google Analytics to track traffic from AI, which is on the rise. I'm using Google Analytics to show me how many leads I got from AI sources. Everyone's getting AI leads now. Most people haven't looked or don't know that yet. I don't know how to do marketing without data. The worst marketers are just going on their personal preferences or opinions. The best marketers form hypotheses, take action, and then measure the impact of that action. That's the game.
One of the things we talked about earlier was content. How are you using AI to kind of help spot content gaps or kind of fix that messaging? Walk the audience through that.
Sure. So if you can export a list of all of your articles, you can get them from the Google Analytics page path report. If you set the first dropdown to be titles, so export that. It's like all of your title tags of every one of your articles. Or maybe your CMS, like go to WordPress and export all of your articles. And if you have a list, once you have a list of every title tag or every headline or every article, upload that to AI and say, I'm giving you a list of every article on a blog. Perform a semantic distance analysis showing the articles that I've almost written but never written. Show me the gaps in my content strategy. Or better yet, if you export from GA4 all of your articles, title tags in the first column, and then add a secondary dimension for source medium. So how do people get to each of these articles? Export that and give that to AI. It shows you the performance of every topic in every channel. And you could just ask AI, like, tell me, give me 10 ideas for new articles and tips on where they would likely perform best based on not best practices for somebody else, but based on my content, my audience, and my website. Which of these has which promotional advantages in which channels? So give me a list of articles and promotion ideas for them. Tell me what will work in search and what will work in social and what people will engage with as a newsletter.
That's gold. Let's talk a little bit about audience research. We utilize AI a lot for audience research. What are some of the tips and tricks of way you guys go about it?
Persona generating prompt, which I didn't mention earlier, but I could share. There's a piece about that. If you search for AI generated personas, it probably ranks high there. It's on orbitmedia.com. The problem with the AI generated persona prompt, it'll audit your service pages for you and tell you what's missing, like we said. It doesn't work that well for content strategy because the buyer persona is very much focused on the buyer. It's too dialed into the bottom of the funnel. So if you start talking to your buyer persona about article ideas, they're all focused on like these buying things. Like it's too narrow. They're not going to get engagement in social media. Top of funnel content isn't just about the buying criteria. I don't give AI my personas anymore when doing content strategy. I just give it the job title. And there are some really fun prompts. Here's a couple examples. What are some relatively mundane, almost trivial topics that this job title has strong opinions about? It'll tell you. What are the most important things that this job title doesn't yet know about their industry? It'll tell you. And even better yet, this one is analysis not on your data, but on the internet in general. What are the most important topics that are the least likely to be covered by the big blogs? It will tell you. It can do gap analysis on your entire vertical and give you a list of 10 article ideas that are underrepresented on the web. Like, tell me something that's missing from the internet. Humans can't do gap analysis on the whole internet, but AI actually can do it.
I love that because we always talk about right now with AI, it's hard to stand out. There's so much AI generated content right now and it's very blah. This is awesome where you're taking the other perspective. You're saying, what is all out there and what can we write about that's going to differentiate us? Absolutely love that.
And then write it by hand. I don't use AI to write.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I use AI a lot for idea generation, but the actual sitting down and writing it out, it's by hand. And then AI is great to kind of proofread as well, to be able to help you out with proofing.
Yeah.
We're talking about Google Analytics. We talked a little bit about AI. You talked about how you built an agency that you didn't spend any ad dollars. So what's your best tip for kind of scaling content if you really don't have that much of a budget?
Well, I strongly believe that the best growth comes from optimizing backwards from the end of the process. So there are probably visitors on your site right now. What aren't they finding? There might be people on your contact page who aren't filling it out. Could you add something there, supportive evidence or reduce friction? What's the click-through rate on your calls to action? Have you tried different verbs on your calls to action or adding some urgency or social proof? Can you trigger the conformity bias or loss aversion? So the very first thing to do is to build a better mousetrap before you go make a bunch of cheese. I see all the time people who have websites that are just clearly missing huge opportunities to turn that current visitor into a lead, but they're out there making TikTok videos. I don't get it. They're not prioritized. Yeah, focus on the bottom of the funnel. Optimize after all of your service and sales pages are polished to perfection. What make them masterpieces of conversion, and then move up the funnel toward content marketing. So I think marketing should be done backwards and start at the end of the process. Build content that supports sales. Build content you can send to your prospects. Where are your case studies? Where are your video testimonials? Sales aligned content is your number one job after the sales pages are polished. Polish those sales pages, then create all the sales aligned content that'll help you close deals, right? And then start getting busy with the rest of your content program.
You're right. I mean, how many companies do they send out a pamphlet or a 1 or 2 sheet document, but instead just direct the customer to a page on the website? It should have all that information on there. Love that.
When we send a proposal, we don't send an attachment in an email. We send a link to a web page that is filled with logos of relevant clients and case studies and testimonial videos and videos from us. And that proposal delivery tool, this is a B2B marketing trick, is a way better vehicle that can get shared across the team and other people can see it. For a lot of companies, they don't realize, but there's not one buyer. There's a buying committee. So if you made things that can work as a vehicle to transmit your best advice through an organization when you're not there, the big blind spot for a lot of marketers is the connection to sales.
Agreed. Well, you've been amazing, Andy. Is there anything else that we've missed that you'd like to share with our listeners?
I'm sure I'll think of 10 things when we're off, but I feel like we covered a lot.
You've given some great information. We touched on AI, a little bit in terms of content strategy. We dove into a little bit in terms of GA4. Really appreciate your time, Andy.
This was fun. Anyone that hears this is welcome to connect with me online. I know the blue button says follow, but if you just find the connect button and say, hey, I heard you on Digital Marketing Domination, you're welcome to connect with me there and then we can chat.
Love it. And that wraps up another episode of Digital Marketing Domination. A huge thank you to Andy for joining us. Remember, you can catch all of our episodes on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, and YouTube. If you enjoyed today's discussion, please make sure to subscribe, rate, and leave us a review. Thank you for tuning in.